So with episode 2 of Children of the Whales, all I have to say is wow. This episode continued on the very strong start that episode 1 left us off with, and obviously everyone's going to be freaking about the ending, but there's a lot else besides that shocking ending that really makes this series something that I think respectable. Now, first things first, I have to once again talk about the art design. Now, the animation itself, it's good, it's what you would expect for most modern day anime series, but the art design is completely fantastic and spectacular. I can't, count how many different types of styles and artistic directions that this episode went in. From when they're doing sort of flashbacks and they have this very kind of jagged line kind of character designs and very kind of obscure color palettes that they're using, to the individual backgrounds, especially when Leokas is kind of guiding our main character and this other one that kind of broke out of prison there, and you see just the wide range of just meshings of colors that I don't remember the last time I saw an anime that had this much variety and how well it used its color palette, because typically with anime, it's a fairly bare bones color palette, like you have 12 colors that they use for pretty much everything, and this feels just like an artist had just a wonderful time hand painting all of these individual shots, and just the stones and how they were lit up. It was just remarkable to look at. This is one of the most visually stimulating series I've ever seen, hands down. The art design is on point. But the core content of this episode is rather interesting because we get the confirmation of exactly what Leokas was and what her people are, and essentially there's this weird mob kind of blob of a beast that basically feeds on the emotions of those, and essentially they lose their kind of compassion, their heart, and they just become a husk, like an empty soldier that can think but doesn't really feel anything. And essentially they give up their emotions, so our main character gets a kind of glimpse at this, and you can already see what kind of a hold it had, because after the entire kind of interaction, it seemed like he was a little emotionless for a short amount of time. So imagine just feeding your emotions to these things for years, that would completely just make you a robot pretty much, nothing that could really even probably think for yourself. So I love seeing that because you do get a glimpse of kind of what's outside this world here, but at the same time, what exactly happened to this female here and why she is so emotionless, but it doesn't seem like it might be a permanent thing. Obviously once she got back to the whale island there, she started feeling some things, she started thinking some things, but even our main character mentions you have to have something inside you because there'd be no reason that you dig all these graves, but at the same time it could just be that maybe this beast that is kind of controlling them or feeding off their emotions, maybe the beast would have informed her to do that because the beast has all these emotions now, so maybe the beast is what's feeling everything, but there's so many ways that they can go, but it does seem like it may not be a permanent thing if you get her there early enough, because she did start feeling some things again with the main character, and that's the type of character I like. I do like these emotionless characters. I know a lot of people kind of find them dry and boring, but I like the emotionless character design where it slowly starts feeling something as the show goes on. Either they are a monster, or they are a creation, or in the case of Leokas, she lost her emotions. I like that type of character myself. I know not everyone does. A lot of people despise that type of character design. I personally like it myself. But it's very interesting that we've already learned a great deal about the outside world and what this whale island is kind of sheltering their people from. Because in this episode, I was very curious what exactly that she wanted to essentially tell them. What is this big thing that she has to tell? And my assumption was possibly, because we know that people who have this magical ability, they live a very short life, so what if possibly the elders are feeding off their magical force for this island and that's why they're dying so early? So I thought they were going to go in a direction like that, which granted, maybe they will down the line. But to see the switch, I didn't expect it. I'm going to be 100% honest. I didn't expect the kind of massacre that took place there, because you did know something was going to happen eventually, but I didn't expect that, because Leokas is saying, you have to get out of here, you guys are sinners, they're coming after you, and now I can understand why the elders were so cautious about letting anyone talk to her, because it seems like they must have fled, because we know the elders live longer lives than them, so I could easily see that when they were 10 to 20, they escaped from this kind of war that was taking place, because we know that these emotionless soldiers are just in a never-ending war. It's probably never going to end, so I love seeing that kind of come full circle. But then you see that massacre, and then I believe her name was Sammy. She just takes the blow for our main character. You would have assumed that she would have been the love interest or something like that, and nothing about it felt like it was going to end like that until the narration started, and we hear our main character say, "This was the last time I ever recorded logs as my job," and then I started doing it as a diary, because now we know the entire ballgame has shifted. This is no longer going to be peaceful Whale Island. This is essentially seems like war. And I'm very excited to see where this show is going to go over the next 10 episodes, because it could go in so many places. you would think a series like this would be a more slow burn type of series, but it feels like it could be just as action-oriented as something like, say, From the New World, where even though there was a lot of downtime, there was some very adrenaline-pumping moments in that series, and I'm very excited to learn more about this. I think they're doing a good job at expanding on the world and the history of this, but at the same time, I personally like the characters. I know some people have had their issues saying, like, the characters aren't doing much for you, but I think characters like Leoka's our main character, they fascinate me personally. I think it's interesting. Our main character isn't anything we haven't seen before, but personally for myself, I think the way he kind of is integrated into this world, it feels different, at least for myself, and I like those emotionless type characters that slowly gain emotions in one way or another. I love this episode. It was fantastic. It had me just, well, honestly, the art design is what hooked me the most, but even if this had bare bones art, the actual content to this episode was fantastic, but seriously, art design on point for this series. But let me know your thoughts. What did you think of episode 2 of Children of the Whales, and how excited are you for episode 3 after that cliffhanger? Let me know, and before you leave, smack that like button, show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.